First, down in the polls and with an election just weeks away, Prime Minister Scott Morrison would like national security to be front and centre. And if voters really were focused on Australia in 10 or 20 years' time, national security is where their focus would naturally fall, rather than on a virus that we've all but come to terms with. There's no doubt that the government has a very good record on national security. And there's no doubt that Labor doesn't. After it cut funding to intelligence agencies when last in office, failed to make any major defence hardware acquisitions, and as we know from the Dastyari scandal, said one thing about China to the domestic media and quite another thing to their staged Mandarin-speaking media events. Yesterday, the Chinese government mouthpiece, the Global Times, as I said, endorsed Anthony Albanese as China's preferred candidate in the upcoming election. To say that's not a good look, well, that'd be an understatement. Not something that Labor would want at this time, almost as unwelcome as Peter Van Onselen backing them to win the election, given his past record on predictions. But that's where we land tonight, with national security now a key election issue, with a government that I know will ramp up the fight if I know the coalition. There's more today out in the media, commentators and others warning against a khaki campaign, with a whole lot of Labor frontbenchers out on cue in the media trying to shame the government against spruiking its credentials, with some even trying to imply that there's something improper here, that somehow defence and national security must be a bipartisan issue. Now, that's rubbish. The coalition is right to campaign on its strong national security credentials, just like Labor runs on its health and education credentials. And when Labor's record has been poor, border protection's a potent example, that Australians deserve to be told the likely consequences of a vote for the government versus a vote for the opposition. Labor's China problem isn't a line worked up in a coalition focus group or a handy election slogan. It's borne out by the recent material put into the public domain by the Director General of Australia's domestic spy agency, ASIO, by the sacking of former Senator Dastyari, by the over-the-top pro-Beijing rhetoric of former leaders like Bob Carr and others, and even the intervention of one of their own backbenchers, the China-hawk Senator Kimberley Kitching, in estimates this week. However disappointing some Conservatives might feel the government has been in other areas, its record on national security has been little short of stellar. It stopped illegal migrant boats. It boosted defence spending to 2% of GDP. Australia led the world in keeping the Chinese telco giant Huawei out of vital national infrastructure. We had the courage, didn't we, to call for an impartial international investigation into the real genesis of the Wuhan virus. We didn't flinch when China weaponised trade against us, boycotting some $20 billion worth of our exports. Then there's the revitalised Quad, linking the Indo-Pacific key democracies. By far the Prime Minister's greatest achievement to date is AUKUS, the deal to acquire nuclear-powered submarines. Even though I know a lot could go wrong before they're in the water under an Australian flag, at least he's got us to the position where a powerful strategic deterrent is on the horizon. Then there's the Status of Forces Agreement, just finalised with Japan, that enables our military to be based there and their military here, that will underpin much deeper military cooperation with East Asia's most powerful democracy. No Western country has been more level-headed and more effective than Australia in responding to the security challenges of this post-American century. Now, whether voters will reward that because they worry about a left faction Prime Minister and the likes of failed Premier Christina Keneally running home affairs, well, that's yet to be seen, isn't it?